So in this video, I'm going to give a more opinionated take on the protective order. So this just came down. Ted versus Denims. Ted being Ethan Klein. A protective order will always favor the person who has been sued or suing before. They know what a protective order is. Maybe if it's your first time being sued, you don't actually know. It's a very long document. I think it's 15 pages here. Let me give you exact page count. Not that it matters, right? But it is a long document. 16 pages, okay? There's the attestation. And normally your attorney will sit with you and obviously charge you money because they're billing per hour and ask Denims, do you know what this means? And Denims will say, yep, I know what it means. But does he really know what a protective order, what is confidential, what is not confidential, and basically how much money we are going to spend? No, so he has no idea because it is very hard to comprehend this specific part of discovery. If you want a reference here, I could give you two, Logan Paul versus CoffeeZilla. They are still battling over everything. Every text message, every email. Is this confidential? Yes, no, yes, no. Every single piece of evidence or could be evidence that may or may not exist is being used by Logan Paul, who has 3 different law firms as a motion. So the person with the more money can often abuse this specific part of discovery. Now, one of the other cases, Pixie versus Destiny, it is my opinion that had Destiny not talked about various elements of his lawsuit, the case would have already been over. In fact, the current motion is a motion specifically because Pixie is accusing him of talking about the lawsuit when it was sealed, right? It was under seal, which means you shouldn't talk about it. And it's almost one of those things. The more you talk about it, the more motions the person can throw at you, and you're going to be busy responding to these motions, and the court might just be like, you know what, let's make this a real case. I think that's what's going to happen, or what's happening with Pixie versus Destiny, that the court is so upset at Destiny for continuously talking about a case which is a blank harassment. It's a case where there is a blank in nature. So, but back to this and back to Denims. Denims does not know how to behave. She has, to give you an example, when Frogan, so Frogan is the quote victim here, but Frogan has not talked about it at all. When there was this court server licensed by the court of California, the same court that Denims is being sued in. He is going out. He's trying to find Frogan. He streams late at night, I'm told. So that's why his timing is so weird. And he's describing the events, which, to a layperson does seem very creepy. But that's the justice system. You cannot say that's creepy when that's just how it's done every single time. Is they will study your habits and they will try to get you when you are awake, right? So in Denims' eyes, this very, very common every single day. Again, the court server is doing this every single day, probably to multiple people a day at various times of day or night. What the court would consider a very normal circumstance, Denims has portrayed it as, oh, Ethan hired this person to stalk her, to stalk Frogan, to harass her, to be at all times night. And the reason that this has to be done, right, by this professional and not even Klein himself, is exactly what Denims is saying. But Denims has kind of changed this into something where I don't think the court would be very happy with Denims' take on court service. They're trying to serve Frogan because they literally cannot find her. Now, Frogan wanted to cooperate and wanted to hire a lawyer, and that lawyer then contacts Ethan lawyer, exactly what happened at the very end anyway. Then that's how you would behave in court. But Frogan didn't talk about this story. The only person talking about this story is Denims. So out of the 3 people, Frogan, I think, is not a very nice person, but she has kept her mouth shut about Ethan Klein. And even when specifically asked about Ethan Klein, and I'm sure she knows this is a gold mine in terms of generating content for herself, she has stayed away from answering or from the Ethan Klein discussion at all. So Frogan, good on her. She might finally get it and realize this is actually a lawsuit. Casey Tron continues to talk about the lawsuit in various emotional states, crying, happy, nunchucking, from Amazon. It's weird. She is weird, but I don't sense like malice. I just sense that she is very concerned about her money. Okay, that may be because she has to support her entire family. That might be because no one in her family works or has a job or who wants to have a job. That's tough. That is a very, very tough position for Casey Tron to be in. Denims, single woman, no responsibilities. She is probably going to have this the most difficult out of those 3 because she is generating content. She is reposting. She is talking about Frogan and the stalker and the harassment. And she is always in controversy, continuously in controversy after controversy after controversy. This is how Denims makes her money. So a protective order, you might be like, oh, isn't that Ethan Klein? Doesn't he talk about the case? The advantage always goes to the person who has been sued or has sued before, and that would, of course, be Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein, I have to assume, knows how to behave himself around this protective order, meaning if it's confidential, don't talk about it. If it's not confidential, you can talk about it. Now, that might seem very simple. Like what I just said for you and I, or for a smaller YouTuber, or even if you're just a watcher, you might think, oh, that makes sense. But for these individuals, if they found like a really critical piece of information, like how are they not going to talk about it, right? Even if it's confidential or under seal. Again, I'm talking about Destiny here. Could you imagine, Destiny finds out some really, like in his mind, a critical piece of information. It's under seal. And he's just chatting and it's 5 hours in, he's drinking some beers. Of course he's going to talk about it in great length. He'll talk about Denims is the same way. Denims cannot keep a secret. She has a very, and this is why I don't think Denims has communicated with the H3 mod, because if she had, there's no way she would keep that secret. There's no way that you can think Denims would protect you, even if she wanted to. It reminds me of, if you guys watch The Office, Kevin, and he learns that, what secret? He learns that Oscar is cheating, or no, Angela's husband is cheating with Oscar, and all 3 of them work in accountants. That would be the last person I would want to hold a secret. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, opinions. I think Denims is going to really struggle with this because he's never been sued before, and he is very, very gossipy. Anyway, bye guys.